there it is. Yes, it is now live. Thank you for joining us to the OreAni 2023 end of the fall season, the very last of what happened last year. Of course, you have me here, Tinkun, as always. You got Jessica back with us.
Hello.
We have the always present Albert
Hello and Happy New Year.
and Dragon, back from
Woo.
Japan.
Hello.
So, he got a really fun experience this end of the year. I hope you watched all your anime while you were there.
I tried to.
But we give an extra week for those people that went to Japan to come back so that we can talk about this season. And we're just going to go ahead and start with 16-bit sensation, another layer. This was a show that I was really excited about when it first came out, or when it was first announced by Aniplex Online Festival. And I would have to say the beginning did not disappoint, but when it got to the second half, it went way beyond my imagination of where it was going to be going. So people watching, of course, spoilers. As we're going to talk about the ending of the show. I would recommend this show because it is very enjoyable to see all the call outs and all the try to find all the little Easter eggs, and they're done in many different ways, not just by the visuals, by the games or references that they make, but also by the audio. They have a lot of music that they parody, plus a lot of the call outs to some very old things, like, of course, Konoha is always going Ugu, which is that canon reference to Ayu, and among other things. And as we said earlier, it's about her going back into time to kind of fulfill her dream of making a Bishojo game. And surprisingly, she doesn't just go back into time one time, she goes back multiple times. And that was very different from how it started, because at first I thought it was just going to be her going there, making something, and then finding some new meaning. Who knows what happened? Maybe come back. But I did not expect multiple trips. And then the ending just totally blew my mind and how far that went. I mean, we even had like a Madoka reference and Fate Go references, right?
Mm-hmm.
That were just so hilarious because of how she's changed time through multiple trips and how the visuals now look. Oh, I was laughing so hard when I saw the new visuals of how the Bishojo genre went because of her influence. And
Ew.
but other than that unexpected twist, I would say, in the ending of how things would have gone, I really enjoyed the show. It was a nice show to just sit down and watch, and also get a little bit of nostalgia over like some of the old titles. Now, I don't know if how Japan really was back in that day, but hopefully we got a little bit insight of how it truly was back in the 1990s or the early 2000s with this, and it was a little fun. Anyone else have anything to say?
Um, I didn't like it very much, especially I think the last 3 quarters were just not as enjoyable. I found Konoha to be just an insufferable, annoying character. So I would have liked it if they'd either tone her down or maybe rework her character so that she was less um Konoha. But I did really appreciate the back in time segments when they showed how these visual novels were made. And talking about the dithering was how they got around the lack of color options on those really old systems. I really liked where they showed the ancient technology of the scanner being a piece of saran wrap that they would draw with a Sharpie. So I liked it when the series was focused on that. Maybe I just want a documentary about how Bishoujo games are made instead of this. But all of the timey-wimey echo god bullshit, I was just, I can get this anywhere. What made the show special, they completely threw out the window towards the end. Because none of the characters were really well-rounded enough for me to care about. But, I'm old and grumpy, so what do you expect? But I'm not sorry I watched it, because I did get enjoyment out of those back in time segments.
Like, I would agree with you with the 2/3 beginning of it being the best parts.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, that ending part was kind of this weird thing. But
Yeah.
now that you mentioned it, I also did like the introduction of how they kind of went into a little bit of how also Bishoujo games were going to be ported to systems and stuff.
Yes, that was really interesting. And how Alcohol Soft, as a small studio, they thought they were getting thrown a really amazing bone with getting their game ported to a big system and a larger audience. And it was really nice to go down memory lane. And I recognized a lot of these games, even though I hadn't necessarily played them, just because most of them have had anime adaptations. And I thought that was pretty cool. But in so far as a recommendation, I don't think I would recommend something where the majority of it is not great.
All right. Dragon, you have any? Or, oh, that was Vinny. Vinny's the other one. Dragon, you missed a lot of it, right?
Yeah, I had missed a lot of it just because I was focused on watching other stuff.
All right. I think we can pretty much end that for 16-bit sensation.
Hmm.
I guess maybe it's just because of what we were both looking forward to and how we saw things. Like, I was there for all the Easter eggs and stuff like that, so that's why I was able to enjoy it so much. But I think you were looking for more in the story.
Yeah, I wanted all parts of it, all angles of it to be good. And the characters were not good and the actual story wasn't good, but I did like all of the nostalgia stuff and the Easter eggs, but that wasn't enough to make it a decent show in my book. But that's just my opinion.
All right. So let's go to the next title, which is going to be let me click on this real quick. My dollar left the nest and returned an S rank adventurer. This was one of the quite a few, I would say, fantasy titles that we had this season. Normally everything's isekai, but no, this was just a pure fantasy, um, which is a nice little tidbit. But we also got the Archer, the guy who does the voice for Archer in the Japanese anime, to be in there. And his voice is just so cool. I like it. Every time I saw that show, I just wanted to say, "I am the bone in my soul." But I would say for this show, uh, it they toned down a lot of the things from the manga, of course. Um, I think it made it a little easier to animate and to get through a little bit quicker. So the small little changes I did notice, but overall, it wasn't so bad that I was like, "No, you're changing everything." They just simplified things, so it wasn't that great of a change. But just seeing how the relationship with Angeline and her father was was still very big as it was in the manga, and meeting her friends and everyone. So we got a lot of the key points. And so if you were really into the manga and you were worried that they were going to, kind of butcher it, they actually did a really good job of telling this story. So that was one thing I really enjoyed about it. I know there is, I think, a light novel for it as well, but I never got into the light novel, but maybe one day I should. But it was a decent show. It seems like it kind of ended open so that we can get another season in there later on. But we got to see quite a few interesting fight scenes. Now there weren't anything to write home about, like as you would see in like probably Jujutsu Kaisen or something like that, right? Where they have like those beautiful fight scenes. But they were decent, and everything just played very nicely, and it had this very like also old fashioned kind of style to it, not this like the new crisp lines and everything, crisp colors. It kind of seemed like it was a very down to earth kind of animation that just kind of had everything just flow smoothly, and I really enjoyed it. As we look, we see no one else has seen that. I think we can kind of skip the Berserker anime, right? Because I don't think anyone really went all the way with that show, right? The Gluttony, right? Whatever it was.
Uh, Bosho no Berserker Gluttony, right? I think it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only watched the parts that uh you're like, oh, Dragon, you should watch this part. And that's the only times I would watch it.
Yeah. I would say it was unremarkable. I kind of dropped it. I would just rather read the manga for this one. Um, the anime, I don't know. It just, once again, it was still a fantasy without the isekai part,
Mhm.
which was a big appeal for at the beginning, but it just didn't have enough to hold me in. So, yeah, I had to drop it. But how about the actual isekai we have that just I was super excited about, had a lot of fun at the beginning, and this did a whole change on me, which was um the story of the man turned into a pig.
Mm.
Now I don't know if I'm correct, but has anyone else seen the end of it? Like I felt like it didn't end.
I haven't watched the ending yet. I just know when I was watching it, I was kind of losing like the appeal of it because I remember when we were first watching it, kind of like enjoyed it because of how stupid funny it was, and like it was just like making fun of the fact that this guy is a pig, but like he can communicate with someone through like uh telepathy basically. And but then like we thought for the most part, it's gonna be banking on this kind of like they're like the stupid like funny of how like life is gonna be for him while he's a pig. But then after a bit it starts taking into like a serious direction, and then that's when I'm like it's losing that like interest of the beginning. I was trying to take it itself like seriously, and it's just not hitting that like interest of this whole anime. At least that's how it was for me. I just started losing interest just because it was trying to take in like a whole deep and serious aspect to it. And I'm just like, it's not really that interesting as being a stupid.
I'll agree with you. Like the first three episodes were just total nonsense. You got this whole like DDR dancing that kind of happened that was
Hmm.
just really hilarious. And of course, with the VA, it sounded like you had Inosuke being a pervert.
Yeah, because it was Kirito's VA and he was a pig.
So
uh,
you had all these things, and Jess was just this charming lady that I guess seemed kind of naive and just took everything at face value, even though he himself, as a pig, um, wanted certain things to happen, but he didn't want to like make her do it as a thing because, or as a she he kind of wants her to kind of live her life and do things the way she wants it, but because of how she has been living her life, it always seems like he's kind of she always feels like she has to do it, but he's like, no, no, I'm just talking to myself. And that was the weird thing about it too, is that she can not just only read like what he was thinking to say, but all of his inner thoughts.
Right.
So he would just be kind of making this offhand, like inner thought about like, oh, those legs, they're so
Yeah.
good. And then she's like, oh, you want to see my legs? He's like, oh wait, no, I'm just talking to myself. Please ignore anything that's said in this way. But as you said, it got really, really serious as it went through because we finally find out that the purpose of this anime was the journey of Jess.
Mm.
Jess, having reached adulthood, now had to journey to the capital, and this was a journey that all Yethmen, I guess they call them, right? Yeth, some weird word,
Yeah. Well, right.
and they all had to go to the capital when they reached a certain age. But because of who they weren't even seen as people. They were seen as most of the time kind of like um, these weird objects,
Mm.
and but they also had a lot of really interesting rules that protected them. But they were also hunted, so that was the whole aspect of her journey, was to be careful because of these hunters that were after her, and not just her, just all Yethman in general. And now this reincarnated person as a pig is using his wits and his knowledge to try to help her, but still not understanding this world and everything that's going on. So it got really serious and dark at some times, and I was like, "Holy cow!" I did not see this from the how it opened up.
Yeah.
And like I said, when I got to that last episode, or at least from what was aired, at least from what I saw on Crunchyroll, it felt like they asked them a question, and then I'm like, okay, we're finally going to know what's going to happen at the next episode. Nothing ever came out. So I got to go back
Oh.
and see if I missed something, or if
I
it's
think episode 12 hasn't come out
really. So that's probably why it's just
because it was supposed to be a 12 episode, and I only saw 11. Well, technically, I only saw the first couple, and then episode 10 and 11.
So okay, so
Oh yeah,
that would explain, because
it
I'm like,
got delayed.
maybe I thought it was ended because nothing ever came out after a few weeks. Thanks for that insight, Albert. But yeah,
Sure.
because I would have never gone back to check. I would have until like maybe another season. I'll probably periodically check again. But like I said, it just changed so much from how it started that I was already watching it, so I might as well finish it. Was how I kind of finished the series.
Mm.
Oh, here it says note: final episode delayed to after January.
There you go.
Okay, so looks like we'll have to see the choices that they make by at that. But yeah, like I would say if you have time and you want to kill some time, maybe like the first two episodes would just be really fun, just to blow on nonsense. But other than that, I can't say it was super awesome. Next up is another fantasy title, but this one kind of everyone knows about, right? Goblin Slayer.
Mm.
So, Albert, did you just drop it, or you just haven't finished?
No, I dropped it. I saw episode 1. Couldn't. I mean, I know the story because I read the manga, but I just could not. It seems like they toned everything down while introducing new characters that are super annoying. And I know they're supposed to be annoying, but I could not stand the new kid, the young mage or whatever his name was. And I'm like, I don't want to watch this because, yeah, it was not for me after the initial shock value of the first season. The manga is fine, but I can't skip over the annoying parts. Unlike a manga, you just flip the page. An anime, you can't do that. I mean, I guess you can fast forward, but then, So I gave up. I watched the first episode and I said, I'm done. I've got
I
other.
agree with you on that part with that kid. I always found him annoying, even in the book. He was kind of annoying. But the thing that honestly bugged me the most was a lot of info that they skipped over from the movie to that series. Now, I don't know if a lot of people know. I think there's this like OVA. I don't know if it was an OVA or movie that came out in between the first and second season.
I believe it was a movie.
I never watched it because when I first started watching it, it seemed like it was a recap episode, I thought. But I never
Mm,
noticed that it went into a whole nother story. And that was all done on this, like the mountains with the snow. If you
yeah.
know that's part of the story in the manga. And I felt that when they got to that, I'm like, they just totally skipped a lot of information on some bonding moments between the party and some other cast members, and introductions into some of these other ones that we've kind of seen at some points, but never really got to spend time with them. And I would say though, after the whole first arc of season two, it got a little more exciting. It became a fun again because it was no longer with the annoying kid plus the whole uh, building the training grounds. They went back onto their goblin slash adventure, and you got to see a lot of new areas uh, and just the new skills of the priestess. I would say made the fightings and their strategy a little more interesting. Plus, the priestess growth was amazing. Like, from if you remember how she started to the end of the Scrub season two, she's changed so much and she's grown so much, and it's just really nice to see that. Anything to add, Dragon?
Um, I think we've talked about it before. But something that's I think always bothered me when watching the second season was because of it being made by a different animation studio. Like I just kept noticing, like, oh, like the animation just wasn't the same as the first season, and it just bothered me because every now and then I would see something with the character designs. I'm like, that looks weird. And I always ask, like, wait, do you guys feel that was weird? Like, do you feel like she seems out of proportion to this character and stuff like that? And I was like, it just kept bothering me so much. And then it's gonna be like weird, but like because of having seen the first season Goblin Slayer, and then like how Albert was saying, like it was like toned down like a lot, like quite a bit. Like I just I just didn't have that like same like kind of like wow, there's like gore, but it's like I don't know, like sometimes like that gore was just like so crazy to like see in the first season. Like it's terrible, but it was so interesting to see it animated. Like I wanted to see more, but then in the second season, because it was toned down, I was like, this isn't hitting that like gore that I know Goblin Slayer anime should have. And I just started getting like less and less inclined to continue watching Goblin Slayer 2. And so I think eventually I was just like, I'm not sure if I would want to like trying to finish this because also like the pacing just became really like slow for me sometimes. I was just like, what is the story even going on right now? I was just like I just wasn't getting hooked on to Goblin Slayer, and I was just kind of over it, like midway.
Hmm. All right. So that was Goblin Slayer 2. This next one is a title I dropped. and I guess I'll have to ask if it was good. The Kingdom of Ruin, Jessica.
I dropped it too, so I didn't think it was very good.
How far did you get out of curiosity?
3 episodes? 2 or 3 episodes.
Okay, you just got as far as I did.
Yeah.
Just something about it. Just I saw clips to it online, and even those clips still couldn't bring me back.
Mm-mm.
And I just don't. I don't know. Just if anyone's out there watching this and sees, let us know if it was worth it or not. Because to me, right now, it doesn't seem like it was worth it at all.
Mm-mm. And it's disappointing because I always like to root for original anime projects, and I'm pretty sure this was an original.
Oh, it
So
says the
it
source
was.
was a manga.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Never mind. I don't feel bad about dropping it then.
Next up is this show. Hikakomari Kyuketsuki no Momon. Onmon? The Vexations of a Shut-In Vampire Princess. This was one of the titles that was on High Dive. And who saw it all? No one? Maybe Vinny?
Vinny maybe saw it all.
Jessica, how far did you get?
Just 2 episodes, so
Oh.
not very far at all.
Okay, I got a lot farther than you then. So I got all the way up to episode 10, I would say, and such. But the quality of the animation dropped so much.
Ugh.
I posted
Oh,
some
really?
pictures on our
I saw
Discord.
those, yeah.
I was
They're
just
pretty
making,
funny.
I was kind of making fun of how the cups, there's inconsistency with the cups, but even their eyes. Their eyes were sometimes just very bland, and then sometimes you'd have these, like, at least decent quality eyes, I would say. And then they would go to these derp, kind of like no shine, nothing. And there was even one scene which I didn't take a screenshot. I don't know, or maybe I did. I can't remember. But where this girl's standing there and her hair is blowing, and you could see the shadow for her hair, but the shadow doesn't move for her hair with her hair. It was just so awkward in how it looked, and it got it just got really really bad. And there was just, like I said, a lot of inconsistencies. Like she would have a wristband in this scene, then totally the next scene would be on the other side of her arm instead of the one she had it on, and then in the next scene it would be gone, and then the next scene it would be back. It would just,
Oh, jeez.
I don't know how many teams they had working on it, but someone did not double check and make sure everything was consistent.
They didn't have a QC team.
But honestly, I was kind of enjoying it. I did like the idea of her being this OP girl that just totally unleashed hell on earth whenever she got into this one little I can't remember what they called it. Like her overpowered mode. Each person had like their own little thing. But hers was just totally out there. And but because of some things that happened to her in her youth, she kind of never notices whenever it happens. So she kind of like has this blackout moment, wakes up and everything's all wan. She's like, "Wait, how did we win? How is everything okay now?" type of thing. But other than that, like I said, the animation was just so bad that I just couldn't. Next up, did you want to say anything about the Ishizoku telepath, Albert?
No, I just watched one episode and it was not my thing. So
Okay. So then excuse me, after that we got, oh, there's no title card for this, so we'll just skip Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm just kidding. You guys can talk about it, but I honestly have no title card.
Oh, I don't really have much to say that hasn't been said already because we're how many episodes into this now? Quite a few. So if you are not on board the Juju train, there's nothing I could say to get you on board at this late in the game.
There you go.
I've
I'm behind, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of the visuals for it, and it's just mostly the battle scenes. So um, that
Yeah, I
was
think this arc is probably my favorite out of. I have not read the manga, so I don't know where it's going or anything. But out of the arcs that we've had, I really liked the flashback arc and this arc. I think are my top ones.
so. I'm kind of curious because I kind of quit really early. I think I quit when what's his name? Toto. What is the main guy's
Yuji.
name? Yuji. I kind of quit when he was watching movies to train. So that's how far I got. And they were
Oh,
also introducing
okay.
a lot of new characters right at that school or something.
Yeah.
So like, is it
In
still all about like him still trying to uh them destroying Skuna or whatever they call that, or has it kind of gone to these other sub arcs where they're trying to do other
there's other things going on and they're kind of all together coming they're all coming together in the Shinjuku arc. Um, I know a lot of shonen apologists will say that, oh, it gets better at, 50 episodes in or whatever. For me, Jujutsu Kaisen was really good right out of the gate. And then the second arc where he's in the school, I personally didn't find it that compelling. And then it just got really good again. So for me, it's like a little roller coaster dip. So if you've seen the first arc and you're having trouble with the second, I think that's probably pretty close to my experience, and you might like the later seasons. But at the same time, I also don't want to tell you, oh yeah, you only have to watch, 13 episodes to get to the good stuff, because
things.
there's so much anime. If you really aren't enjoying it, then I wouldn't force the issue.
I kind of do want to watch more because of the visuals for the fight scenes I've seen. But like, is there any way I could skip like that whole middle part, or and still get enough information, or do I have to watch to get like know who's who or what?
Um, well, the funny thing is that I watched that second season or second arc so long ago that I've forgotten most of it. And so watching the later seasons, I'm still having a great time. Can I name every character? No. Do I completely understand the curse energy powers? Also no. But am I absolutely dazzled by the pretty lights on the screen? Hell yes. So if you just want to read a wiki to kind of get an idea of what goes on, I think that'd be okay. But does anybody else have another opinion?
I'm sure there are you know, people on YouTube doing recaps of them, so you could probably find one that you like and get a idea about the arc
Good
of
advice,
the
yes.
school arc. But there are some things that happen towards the end of the school arc that ties into the main overall story. So there's that. You can probably skip most of it if you're not that interested.
All right. Thank you for that information. Next up is Kage no Jitsu Ryokusha no Naritakute, Season 2. Oops, which is one of my favorites this season. And also, light novel I really love to read. The Eminence in Shadow. And compared to the light novel and the web novel and the manga, this anime has like taken all that information and then dialed up to 10 and just they've changed a lot of things that and how they look visually from how they're explained in the and also how the manga has it viewed, but they make it work, and they kind of decided rather than trying to be um, follow the source and how ridiculous it is. They're like, we can be even more ridiculous and just make this just totally out there. And because of that, I actually find it being a little more enjoyable because you're like, what are they going to do next? What's this? What's the new out of this world thing that's going to happen? And um, the show kind of ended where the I would say the light novels have gone and stopped as far as English translations. So the next part they're going to kind of release is a movie, which I'm kind of excited about, or at least that's how it seems it's going to be. But everything that we've seen beforehand is just more of Sid being his mob character in public, him being Shadow in the darkness, and just living his life to the fullest while everyone is trying to save the world while he's none the wiser and he just thinks it's all a game. His sister suffering has all these delusions and problems, and he just thinks, oh, she's just going through a phase. I've been through this little phase when I was a teen back in my other life, so all I know is that you guys got to support her and just tell her everything's going to be okay. And because of these like so standoff remarks, everyone takes everything he says like so much grander than what it is, and respect him even more for it. And it's just totally just crazy. But it's been really, really fun. We've had quite a few more fight scenes out there, and these new arcs that are just totally like at one point it seems like it's a bullet hell type of game thing going on where everything's just all over the place, and it's but I've just been loving it and loving it. So if you're like just out of this world, just obnoxious stuff going on and just being totally stupid to the max, but also be visually appealing, I would say this is one of those shows to watch. Anything to add, Dragon, or
I will say that it was like very funny on some of the arcs. Some of the arcs were kind of like meh. Um, I do love seeing Delta. She's so funny and cute, and I love her relationship with Shadow. It's just very like funny and wholesome. Even though she wants to like have him be like the clan leader and like have babies with him, but like she's so funny, and then like he treats her as like a little sister. But it's very funny. I've enjoyed it a bit.
actually, it's kind of funny because he doesn't treat her like her sister. He treats her like a golden retriever he had in his past life. He actually makes commentary on it too. But yeah, this show just it's just totally out there, like I said, and very fun. And um, you also get these really interesting, I would say, kind of like ending cards with the ending credits. Every single one is different. They showcase a different character in each ending with this like slow reveal, and at the end you can finally get the character, which is kind of fun.
Hmm.
I'm hoping everything's still good because I just got a message that said OBS disconnected, then it reconnected, but I don't see anything visually happening on YouTube.
I'll take a look on the
But
screen now. But
I'm thinking everything's safe right now.
yeah, I think it's still okay right now.
I'm going to go ahead and skip girlfriend because I think that's what it was called, right, in English.
Hmm.
Yeah, girlfriend. I haven't finished it, and it's just one of those shows that's just so dumb that makes me like wonder why I'm watching it. Then again, I saw Smartphone in another world, so. And I'm probably going to skip this other title here to see if Vinny can talk about it when he comes back, which is the
100 Girlfriends.
yeah. Uh, Jessica, did you want to talk about the given the disgraceful noble lady risking the crash course in naughtiness?
Not really. I sort of stopped watching it. It wasn't really a conscious choice, but it's not bad. It's cute. I just was doing other stuff. So
All right.
I don't really have anything to say about it.
All right. So let's go to the next one then, which is this really fun title. If I can find the card for it.
Oh, we all watched it.
How do you? What's this? There it is. It was lengthwise.
Apothecary Diaries.
Everything in the folders in Japanese, so sometimes I get lost. So, Kusuriya no Hiragoto,
Mm-hmm.
or Hitorigoto, which Jessica said so appropriately. What was your? How did you feel about it? What was it? What was so great about it?
I loved this show. For me, it was all about Mao Mao. Mao Mao is justice. She is just a great character. She's a lot of fun to watch. Um, I really liked this one a lot. I think this and Free Ren were my top two. I have not read the light novels or any of the manga, so I don't know how it stacks up as an adaptation. But as someone going in blind, this was highly enjoyable, and I really liked it.
Okay. You have anything to add, Albert?
Yeah, so and I think Vinny too, were very excited for this adaptation because we're both fans. I'm not sure if he's read the manga or the light novels. I was reading one of two manga that it's a complicated story, but there are two adaptations of the light novel into manga format, and I was reading one of them. So I knew what I was getting, and visually, it's a really pretty anime. They did a lot of work with it. There's gorgeous colors, backgrounds. At the same time, it doesn't quite match the manga aesthetics, which was more of a pastel color tone. So that was a little bit off for me. And then I don't really get the opening song or the ending song or the animations that they used for it. It just doesn't seem to uh, strike a chord with me. It doesn't seem to, for me, to match the setting or the story. The song is kind of meh. But in terms of the actual adaptation, it is a series of mysteries that Mao Mao gets involved with and tries to solve or come to some sort of conclusion that will satisfy whoever is asking her about it, even though she might have other ideas about what really went on or um, what's happened behind the scenes, right? So there's an interesting aspect to that. And then I think this is one of the older light novels that started the inner court, inner palace, inner court trend. That there's several others. So what was it? The Ravens. A couple seasons ago, there
Oh,
was a inner court one where it was slightly
the
more
Raven.
supernatural.
Yeah, the Raven in
Yeah,
the Inner Palace, I think.
yeah. So that
Right?
that's another one. There are several others that I know of, especially in the shojo genre, which I'm not sure if this falls into that or not. I can't remember where it was published, but again, there's a whole series of inner courts that are just normal and or supernatural. So I suspect there will be a lot more of these coming out with the success of the Apothecary Diaries, but this one does stand above any of the others I attempted to read in the past, at least in the manga format. So highly recommended. It is continuing into a second core right now, and there will be even more interesting palace intrigues as things that happened, independent things that happened in the first season, will come back in the second season and appears to be a bigger conspiracy. I'll leave it at that. So I think you'll get a lot more enjoyment, but you do need to watch the first season to the second. So there's that. I'm continuing to watch it, and I'm greatly enjoying it.
Albert, what manga should you read? Which one are you reading, I should say?
I can't remember. I'll let you know later which one I was reading or which I am reading. I actually picked up both. I think I was gonna see what the difference and if the art style of one was more prettier, or there are some differences. So I think the first one is called Kusuya no Hitorigoto, which is the title. And then the other one has a subtitle that says like Mao Mao no Nazotoki Techo, or Mao Mao's Detective Diaries. So yeah, but apparently both of them are adapting the same material just in slightly different ways, by different companies, by different artists. But if you go on YouTube, you'll find out the story of why the adaptations came about and all that. So competing companies and all that.
I sort of hope that the interest in the inner court and stuff brings people to rediscover Sayun Koku Monogatari. I don't know if you guys remember that one. That came out in probably 06, 07. It was an anime adaptation of a light novel of the same name that's all about the inner workings and politics of an inner court that's styled off of the Imperial Chinese inner court. And that one was really good too. But unfortunately, the light novel never got translated or licensed here, and I really hope one day that it will be.
Okay.
So I kind of want to go piggyback on what Albert said about the opening and stuff. Like I always thought those were kind of really weird and strange, but after Vinny, he got me to read the manga. I started reading it, and I would honestly say I think the opening does make a little sense after reading it, visually at least. But going on, this show has just been one of the biggest things for me. Has just been the facial expressions of Mao and how expressive she is, even though she doesn't want to be out there in the limelight, and she wants to try to kind of hold everything in. Just these little subtleties that just kind of sneak out every once in a while. That she's like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that," kind of thing, and the way Jishin kind of picks up on those little things that she does. But there's been a lot of visual moments within this show that are just totally beautiful. I thought, like when she's having the taste of that one soup. If I say it that way, it's just so much fun to see, and it's been really fun just checking this out. Now I never think I've ever really gotten to a lot of the inner court or outer court kind of titles back in the day, but it is kind of nice to see a lot of these animes kind of going back into stories taking place kind of in like this Chinese time or Chinese theme. Like I remember watching back in the day, like Kyokara, or not, Fushigi Yugi was one of those, right? The Chinese
Oh yeah.
things, and like even like I think it was like 12 Kingdoms kind of had this somewhat similar to the Chinese
Mm-hmm.
themes. So it's kind of fun to see this different style from Japan in a story. So I can't wait to see more. As long as they stay away from cultivation, because I actually don't like stories on cultivation. They just kind of bug me, or at least the manhwas. Anything to add, Dragon? Or
Um, Not really. It's very, I'll say, like, it's visually very appealing. Story is interesting. I will say that I had a bit of a rough time trying to come back into trying to watch and continue because I totally like forgot like what was last happening. So I did have to go back a couple episodes to try to give myself a recap to then continue watching the rest of it. But it has been very interesting hearing uh like the drama within the whole family, like the royal family, and how like Jinshi's kind of mixed in with it and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's very engaging for me at least.
all right, the next title, I don't have a title card. I'm gonna have to go through these earlier next time to make sure I got them because I think they since it's the second core from Mahotsukai no Yome. Um, I can't remember like if why they call it the second core. Did they take a break between cores, right? I'm gonna have to guess that's what happened. That's why they had to make sure it's a part two rather than just second season. And I will say the show was kind of season two has been very lacking to me compared to the first one, and it didn't have the things that kind of uh, drew me into the whole Mahotsukai thing. I think it was because the learning experience with Chisa and her seeing everything in a new way from season one is kind of gone in season two. Now it's kind of like this whole we're meeting new people, meeting new characters, and now there's this mystery or some kind of incident that's happening that took over the whole arc rather than these little small arcs where she gets to go travel and view all these other things. I don't know if that's how it changed for me, but it wasn't until I would say the last end of this new core that kind of got me excited again because of how um, we got more into the I would say mage or the aspect rather than the sorcerer school thing. Even though, so I kind of, I would say I wasn't like super excited like I was for the first one, but it was still decent. I would say. Albert, you put it on hold.
Yeah, currently I'm behind. It's one of the things I couldn't catch up. Um, so I'll eventually get to it because I do like the series. Um, but yeah, the school art part was not the most interesting thing for me.
Do you have it? Did you ever read the manga? Do you know how far like it is with the manga?
Yeah, I'm also behind on the manga, so I think I was up to the start of second season. Yeah, I think that's right. So I'm way behind on that too.
All right.
I'm also behind on both the anime and the manga.
Hmm.
But I do agree with you, Tank, in that the second season with the school setting just wasn't as interesting to me as the first season was.
I mean, with what was it like? I swear the first season he said was gonna die every once in a while or something.
Yeah.
And this one was just her being like, "Oh, everything's good now, big friends." And I would say that's not what I really enjoyed about the show. I liked her being in this. Let's get into danger. Let's have fun. That's just me. Next up, let's go ahead and check out this title called Pluto. I didn't even know about it because what I just now checked it out a while ago, and it's on Netflix. So I don't watch anything on Netflix. I'm too lazy to log
Wait, so did you watch it or not?
in. No,
Okay.
I just saw it was on
All
Netflix.
right.
I didn't actually watch
I mean, there are two things that came on Netflix last season that were really, really good. Pluto is one, Scott Pilgrim is the other. I know there's an argument on whether it's anime or not, but whatever. Anyway, Pluto is it is 8 episodes, each about an hour long, just so you know. But it is how do I put this? It's based on a manga, which is based on a different manga. So this is based off the original source is the Mighty Atom Tetsuwan Atom by Osamu Tezuka, the god of manga, and one of the founders of the anime industry. But no one's going to go back to that original art. And uh, Kurosawa took that and created Pluto. And at the time, the Gulf War was going on, so there is a lot of things from uh, that was transplanted from real world events into the manga. As there was a war in the Middle East area, and there were accusations of robots of mass destruction and such. So but it is in essence starts off as a murder mystery, a murder of both people and of robots, and it's just really, really well done. It's just really good. So if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend that you do go check it out. At least watch the first episode. Uh, Probably the second episode is a little bit weird. It's almost like a standalone, but it is absolutely gorgeous. Um, and then the rest of the series slowly comes together as events unfold. So you don't really meet Adam himself until, because he's not the central focus character, but you don't meet him until the very end of the first episode, where the detective, who is also a robot, goes to meet him and warn him of as one of the 7 most advanced robots in the world. They seem to be all targeted with death. So it's a mystery at its core, but it's also a lot of human drama, and I highly recommend it. So I gave it, I think on Mel, I gave it like an 8, maybe a 9 out of 10. So yeah, it's way up there in terms of quality of things that I watched last season.
All right, that sounds cool. Anyone else have anything to say? All right.
We can move on to the next.
Yeah.
Did we lose Tank?
Can you hear me?
Uh-oh.
I don't hear him anymore.
He may
Yeah.
have lost sync.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Maybe.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Yep.
Yes.
Sorry, my thing was acting up. So sorry about that. That's cool. I don't know why I have such a hard problem trying to watch stuff on Netflix. I should try to go on there once in a while, watch those. But next up, what was it? The Potion de Animas or something like that, right?
What?
Potion, something weird. Some weird potion show title.
Oh, the potion show.
Yeah, here it is. I shall survive
I
using
think
potions. Yeah.
you're the one that watched it.
What? Only me?
And Vinny.
Oh, Vinny. Yeah,
But Vinny's not here.
I actually watched this because of Vinny, and I'll say it was really appealing at the beginning. It's something silly, and then as it went forward, I can't say it got better or worse. It was pretty consistent, but it was. I guess it had enough to keep me watching. Um, the thing that really made me enjoy it, I would say, would be Kaoru, the main character, as she has this very methodic way of manipulating everyone and how she does things to benefit herself, but it also comes off as being very, very like evil in a sense. And not everyone sees it that way, but as us watching it, it comes off that way strong, at least for me. And she's very open with how she talks to everyone and her feelings. Uh, like at one point, she would just be sleeping there. Everyone's like, "An angel's descended upon us," and she'll just get up and like, "Shut up! You're being loud." And it just how far off from how people visualize her and how she acts. Uh, it's just something that I kind of enjoyed. But I know to some my friends, it was kind of interesting that they hated it because of how their heads looked according to their bodies. It's kind of like our little avatars on this channel, the little bodies and the big heads. But I would say that it was very, very. The designs were very bubbly, I guess. I don't know how you would say it. But yeah, we have Kaoru who can make. She gets reincarnated. She can make anything, any potion she wants in any container, and she uses it to make some of the most ridiculous things. Like I made a carriage. Of course, it's a potion holder. It's just a potion container that looks like a carriage that has fully working wheels and everything. Oh, I made a sword. That's because it's a potion container. You can screw off the end and it delivers potions. But it's not really a sword; it's a container. So she's always doing these ridiculous ways to find a way around things with her powers. But not only is the fact that she can kind of conjure up anything she wants because of this loophole, but also because of her skills to make whatever she wants within these potions just by wishing for it is just so overpowered in this world, and she's using it to her full advantage to try to just become filthy rich and live a relaxing life. And even by the end of it, she sees how she's like bettering the lives of everyone, and she realizes that she's the only one that's kind of single, and now she wants to try to find a way to no longer be single. And it's just her trying to just be happy in this new isekai world, and just this the way she uses her abilities is just kind of really out there as well. But I can't say I hated it though. It was entertaining to me. Maybe when Vinny gets back, we could talk to him about it. Or when Vinny comes, I should say, not comes. So next up is going to be the Paladin. Did anyone watch the first season and just not watch the second one? The Faraway Paladin?
Yeah, I watched the first season and um, was not really interested in continuing it, so I did not watch the second season at all.
So it's like Vinny or sorry Albert just mentioned, it's just a continuation from the second season. Um, with him being older, um, I can't really remark on his age. I think when he went out on his journey, he was probably around 16, 15, who knows, around there. So I would say right now he's probably into his early 20s now. Maybe maybe he's still in his 19s or something. I can't really tell. They don't really give us a timeline of what's going, how much time's passed and stuff, or at least I don't remember. But we got our main character, which once again, this is kind of the weird thing about it because I almost called it a fantasy title, but it is still an isekai because of our main character William was isekai there and raised by these monsters, which we find out early is they were the heroes back in the day. So he was raised by these three heroes, and he's now living his life going around, um, following his goddess and trying to kind of, I guess, um, explore the new lands because he's never left where he's lived, and there's been no other contact with any other people. So the first season kind of ends with him in this large battle to clear this forest to help all the people within this forest, and second season continues off with him being everything's kind of clean and everything's now going decently, but now he meets these information about a calamity that's going to happen, and now he's kind of trying to prepare for it, and also about this story about what happened to the dwarves in this cavern. So with all that going on and him now running the whole city and running the whole forest area, he now has to deal with this calamity with his friends, and also he picks up a new, I guess I can't remember what they call him, like kind of, I think it was like kind of like a squire, someone he's kind of teaching, and that also helps him. But I would say the ending part of it with the conclusion was really, really fun, and the battles that they had and the fight scenes that they had were just really well done for this show, and it was very, I don't know how to explain it without trying to spoil it too much because I don't want to spoil, but I kind of want to recommend it if you've seen the first one, but I don't know. This one's a really hard one to talk about. Let's skip the next title because I did finish it. I'm gonna use not here. Oh, here's a title everyone can talk about though. The Shangara Frontier. Did I say that right, or is there some weird way how to say it?
That's how I'd say it.
Shangri-La?
Shangri-La Frontier.
What was so fun about it, Jessica?
Well, I liked it because it wasn't like a lot of anime that take place in games where you either don't know what the characters are up to IRL, or where the main character has a special power that makes him so incredibly OP. It's just that Sanraku likes really crappy games, which is a thing in the gaming community. There are people that will dedicate themselves to playing just absolute crap games. And as a result, he is completely blown away when playing a game that actually functions as intended, which I just thought was really funny. A lot of the comedy is, I guess, gamer based, sort of. Although there are interactions between the characters that are absolutely precious and a lot of fun. But what I like about Sunraku also is that he fails. Because again, a lot of these game anime, it's, oh, the hero has incredible odds stacked against him, and yet he manages to make it out on top. And that's all well and good, but we've seen that song and dance a million times before. And so there's a section of a quest that Sunraku is trying to clear, where it's basically a boss rush. And he's fighting all of these bosses, and there is one boss that took him over 100 tries to defeat. And I think he mentions, oh, I've been at my computer all day, I'm hungry, I need to get some food. And just little details like that really endear the show to me. Yeah. So I like the main character Sunraku. I like the story where it's just he's having fun playing the game, and the character interactions that he has are a lot of fun too. Oh, and Emil is super cute, by the way.
Speaking of being overpowered, uh, in those types of anime, isn't he actually handicapped in this one?
He is, yes, yes. Some of it was because he skipped the first town, so he didn't get the tutorial on how to merge skills and basic stuff like that. And also because he chanced upon a unique monster which cursed him, so he's unable to wear any gear other than his head, like a headpiece. And it also nerfed his stats a lot too. So even if he's a high level, his stats are pretty low comparatively to someone of the same level.
The other thing that I found that I thought was kind of interesting because like not only does he just play bad games, terrible games, is that he's also one of these people that tries to find and exploits bugs.
Yes.
So it's not just I'm playing this game that's just so bad. It's no, this game has all these bugs and all these things, and we're going to exploit them the best we can to try to make everything work and give us the greatest output.
Mm-hmm.
And he's bringing all that tenacity and all that knowledge into this godly game, as they call it, right?
Exactly.
But and it's also very fun to kind of see how some of the characters bring their outer personality also into the game with certain people
Mm-hmm.
and how they act, and but also kind of also has this, it kind of showcased this other persona in the game, but you can kind of still see their little tendencies outside of it inside. And but I am kind of happy with the pacing because I thought they would also do a lot of more grinding and a lot more of this other stuff, but they've actually kind of uh, moved past that fairly quickly. Because like the whole
Mm-hmm.
part where he was supposed to get to a certain level, I was surprised with how quickly they went through that.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like it was a cop out either. It felt like they had been at it for hours because they'd take breaks, and I think there was the first break they hadn't quite hit the level cap, and then it had a scene where Sunraku was in the real world doing stuff. So the way time works feels pretty natural. That I could buy, yeah, they've been grinding all weekend to get to level 50. It probably also helps that I have played an MMO before, so I kind of get a lot of the culture and the references and stuff. But I can't imagine that this would be a comprehensible anime to anyone who doesn't have that background, or at least a base knowledge of how games actually work and play.
The other thing I thought was pretty fun was like they kind of shared with you also kind of some of these do's and don'ts of public gameplay. Like I guess someone shared some stuff about him in the game, and everyone's kind of reprimanded them, saying, "Hey, you should be doing this to certain people or certain characters."
Yeah. Yeah, I liked that actually, because when she took a picture, I thought, oh, I just cringed inwardly. And I didn't expect the anime to address it, but it does. Um, and another thing I really liked, a bit of character building, is that we meet later on Sunraku's mom, his dad, and his sister, and they're all just completely obsessed with their hobby of choice. And yet, their one rule is that every Sunday and Saturday they have to sit down to dinner together to talk, or else they just would never do that. And I really liked that little touch.
Mm-hmm. Um, I am kind of interested with the new character they kind of introduced so late within the season. Well, I guess it's kind of mid-season considering that it's a two-core season. But I'm kind of excited to see where that goes. But the show has been very fun, and it's continuing on. It's a two-core, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we'll be able to talk more about this at the end of the next season. Anything to
I
add?
think if you like games and you like anime, you need to watch this. You'll have a good time.
Oh, and don't skip the ending thing, the little extra. I kind of skipped it at the beginning, thinking it was those typical, oh, let's explain these game mechanics that was happening.
Yeah.
No, they're actually their own little story kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. They're almost always really funny too.
It's I love also the we'll call him the Vorp roll spirit.
Yeah.
Oh, and didn't you also mention the song?
Oh, yes. So Sunraku, because of his, again, it's his hard work that he had gone and was farming beetles in this forest. So he got a lot of drops from this particular beetle. And because he'd completed a bunch of quests and stuff, he unlocked a scenario where he could give some of the items that he'd farmed to the main rabbit in this special town, and the rabbit would forge him something. And so they have this, gosh, how long was it, Tank? It kept going, but the blacksmith rabbit was singing a song as he was wielding the hammer, and so he was striking the metal in time with the song. It was just really cool.
And it seemed like those kind of like it made me honestly think of like the ending song to the what was it, Akiba Made? How they have that very somber tone, like as
Yeah, it
she's
sort of
working.
felt sad or solemn. It felt
Solemn,
very
yeah.
solemn. Mm-hmm.
So it was very fun to see that scene, and I believe it wasn't just it was the leader. Remember, not just the black.
Yeah, yeah. Vice, right? Vice is the leader of the rabbits, and he's also this blacksmith. But again, Sunraku didn't just get this because he's the main character in an anime. He got it because of his the way he played the game and hard work. Is that it took him hours or even days to get all of the materials necessary to forge those weapons. And then you find out he can't even equip them because he's not the high enough level. So it's just things like that make it a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I do like I mentioned earlier, I do appreciate how they kind of bypass a lot of that time you would kind of expect for the grinding. Like even to get his two
Mm-hmm.
main weapons, he kind of mentioned that he had to fight so many monsters just to get a second weapon of the same thing
Yeah, yeah.
because it was like a one
And
percent
he,
drop or something like that, right?
yeah, and he said that, oh, well, the enemies, they only have a 10% spawn rate, and then I had to kill them and get the 10% drop or something like that, some crazy number. And so the way that they handled him farming instead of making you watch it for 5 minutes or half the episode. It was just a throwaway line of, "Oh man, that was a real grind there."
Mm-hmm. Anything to add, Dragon? Or
I was gonna put in like definitely don't skip on the end credits stuff because uh they actually like some of them are just for like giggles, but like some of it actually does like provide like extra content to like to continue what's gonna happen. So it's definitely something you shouldn't skip out on. Like if you don't want to watch the ending, then yes, you can skip the ending. Like just at least like check out the little snippet at the end because they do sometimes provide extra content for what's gonna happen next. Um, I don't know if we had brought this up in the stream, but we had talked about this like before we started. But because Unraku wears a bird mask, um, they show a lot of emotion emphasis through his eyes, which is really great. Just because we don't, see the whole like facial of like his mouth giving extra like emotion. So everything is based around his eyes, and they put in a lot of emotion through his eyes throughout the show, and that's been really great. And in the way they animated that, and the premise of this whole show would give you the idea that this wouldn't be animated like the way that it is, but it animated really, really well. So it's definitely a great watch for its visual appeal as well.
how many of you laughed like crazy, like I did when the
Oh, it's just so funny.
when the rabbit found out that it was a mask instead of his
Oh,
actual head?
I, I just love Emily's like reaction to everything she starts finding out from like Sunraku. Like especially like with that new character and how like Emil kept like referring to the new character as she because the player model is a
Oh yeah.
female. But then like Sunraku is like, "Oh, so like he's trying to figure out a way to explain because it's an NPC, so he has to try to explain it in the way that the game world would explain
Mhm.
it versus game terms where it's like, oh, like this is just a player model, like the actual player is a male. So then he has to explain like, oh, like how like people say like it's this person is this like gender, but they have the spirit of the other gender. And then and then so he's trying to explain that the new character has a male spirit, meaning like it's a male player. And then Emil's like and it's
I
just
loved that. I thought that was so cute.
All
uh
right,
it's just so interesting how like he does have to think about I have to explain this through the game world terms versus, gamer terms.
oh, one thing I do find I know it's my last thing I want to add that I found interesting that kind of raises the stakes within this game show is that we kind of got new information that NPCs don't respond.
Hmm.
That kind of adds this new stake to it, which I thought was kind of fun.
Mhm.
But we'll see how that goes on. Go ahead and go to our next title, which I think has been one of, if not everyone's favorite anime this season. One of the top two, right?
Hmm.
Soso no Freiren.
Yeah.
Now this one's actually really far compared to everything else because it kind of had like a 4 episode premiere, right?
Yeah, it was 3 or 4 episodes all at once. And then it's a weird number, the total. It's what, 28?
Oh, but yeah, I don't know what to say about it because it's just one of those shows to me that I kind of just want to tell people you just have to watch it. It's not
Yeah,
really something I want to explain. It's one of those things that you kind of
you
have to
just have to watch it for
experience.
yourself. Yeah.
So, what about you, Albert?
No, it's from last season probably my favorite. I mean, even though it's not done, what I've seen I think is an outstanding adaptation. I love everything about it, from the visuals, the music, background art, voice acting has been great, and you don't expect that good of an action scene for something like this, but based on the manga, because the few action that does happen is, in the manga at least, very contained, right? Nothing fancy, but when you translate it to a moving picture, they've done a phenomenal job. So I have been really enjoying this fantasy show and everything about it. I'm not quite caught up on the manga, so I can see where the arc will probably end. But there's a lot of fun things that's going to be coming up. And we shall see what happens. Based on the popularity, I would guess, even after this, there will be a so-called second season, but I don't know that for sure. And there, I also want to briefly touch that apparently there were some controversy about the show, about how the demons are portrayed. And you know what? I don't always need things to be complicated. Sometimes you just want evil to be evil. I don't need a redemption arc for Sauron and Lord of the Rings. I just know that he is the big bad evil that you need to go and fight, or at least destroy the One Ring, which is actually him, right? So I'm fine with that, and you don't need to be putting in all kinds of your emotional baggage into a show that is just taking an old-fashioned look at good versus evil. I don't need a redemption arc for the Nazis. I just, sometimes evil is evil, and that's fine. So leave it at that.
Now I have a question about that because I never heard about this controversy. So, um, is this an American controversy or is it a Japanese? Because I know it's usually the
It's
happening in
American,
American.
I believe.
Yeah.
It's a Western look.
It's very American. It's definitely something that is mostly talked about within, like, I guess, like, big name stuff, like, especially, like, with, like, Disney movies. Disney has been very hard pressed on doing a lot of the trying to make villains have something like a motive of trying to make them be redeemed back. And and so that's a lot of where the I guess the whole like drama and controversy has stemmed from.
I
Hmm.
mean, I think it's interesting if you have a redemption arc for a villain that, is really mean to a chef at a restaurant, like in Ratatouille. But it's different when the villain is doing things that we would consider unforgivable. And there's something to be said for the older Disney villains, which just the absolute joy that they took in being evil was kind of fun to watch. I mean, Ursula the Sea Witch, anybody? She's an icon, right? So there's that kind of way that you could spin a villain too. And at least the reason why I was able to enjoy Freeren is because it's taking a look at a character, Freeren, who does not view time and therefore a lot of relationships and other things the same way as a human being would. And with the demons, it's more they have a completely alien way of looking at the world and seeing the world. And unless that changes, there can be no peace between peoples, right? Um, and I think it's an interesting concept to play around with. What do you do if your enemies are not only immortal, but also incomprehensible. That they don't
Yeah,
speak your language. They don't have your, and I don't mean languages in the literal sense, but there's nothing to connect with. Because the first step towards peace is to find a connection or a similarity. And so trying to draw a line from a show that's so rooted in fantasy to the real world, it's not gonna really work all the time unless the author was actually trying to make a point about the real world. So I think Albert hit the nail on the head when he said sometimes the baddies are just baddies, and you have to accept that
yeah.
in order for the
More
story
of
to
that.
work for you.
If you read the manga, more of that is upcoming. I don't think they'll get to it this season. There's a whole nother arc about that, and it's not that the demons are immoral. It's that they're amoral. Their morality is not our morality, and
Exactly.
it causes a lot of things that happen. You'll find out later. But again, I don't really follow it. I play a lot of D&D, and sure, you need the villains to think that they're the heroes of the story, but sometimes a villain is just a villain, and that's fine. So it doesn't detract from the story. I think it's an excellent anime series, so I will continue to watch it. I just wanted to bring it up in case people weren't aware of it, and you come across it and you're like, what the hell is all this stuff going on in the
I was not
American
aware of
anime
it.
community?
I wasn't aware of the
Yeah.
controversy,
Neither
but
was
I tend to not be very social even online. So I'm insulated from a lot of this stuff.
You're lucky.
Yeah. When it comes to student, I would say that the most enjoyable moments for me are kind of when they do her flashbacks versus how she's living her life now. Even though that's kind of what this whole journey and the whole story is about, is her life now. I just really enjoy those few sparse moments where they kind of go back and show how she was and how she lived.
Mm-hmm.
So shall we continue?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next up is the show that I swear everyone loves in some kind of way, right? Spy Family.
So funny.
Either you love Anya or you love Yor. Is there any Lloyd love out there? I don't know.
Yeah,
But
there
we,
is.
but we got this season 2, and I don't know. I guess it's just more of their antics, right? I don't know how to really sell it. I think if you're watching it, you're not gonna just kind of, oh, now it's bad or it's terrible now, because it's just more of the same things that we've kind of enjoyed, with I think a small exception of how I would say yours now viewing the family. I would say, but if you guys want to say anything about it, I don't really have much else to say.
I don't know. I think you hit the main point because I mean it's literally just a continuation of just seeing their lives together and like the different antics that they go through. Um, for the most part, if you enjoyed Spy Family from before, then you're definitely still gonna continue watching it. I'm just hoping the movie will be coming out to the States soon so I can watch it. But yeah.
You guys should have gone to the movie while you were in Japan.
Yeah, maybe. But we had
I
so
mean,
much other stuff planned of like just trying to like sightsee everything else. So he wanted to get through
true
all the
enough.
sites. Yeah.
Wouldn't he have troubles? Like, there's no subtitles, is it, in Japan?
Yeah. We probably would have just had to like like just visually watch it and then maybe catch the words that we do know when listening to it.
Yeah, and I can't remember, like most of the theaters, they always have, there's a controversy about this too, but the theaters give out special promotional items for each movie, right? Especially anime movies. And there's a complaint that it seems like that is just becoming out of hand. Like when I went and saw the two anime movies on my last visit, for each one I got something.
Mhm.
You know, you get to the theater entrance with your ticket, and they're like, oh, here's your free item. Right? So I get a little pamphlet or a little postcard, or sometimes it's even more. And it seems that people, they're trying to get repeat customers for fans, so they would do like collectible items, one of four random, right?
Mm.
That kind of thing. So um, it's not a sustainable. A gotcha is not a sustainable model for movie theaters.
No.
But yeah. But anyway, yeah, they might have had. I know they had some promotional items for the Code White movie, Spy Family movie. But I'm hopefully looking forward to that too. The second season has been enjoyable. I I know there was some issues with the animation division between the two studios, and whether this season there was a drop in quality or not because one or the other was too busy. I don't really notice it that much, although some of it I wasn't paying strict attention to. So there could have been drops I wasn't catching because I wasn't always paying full attention to the show. I know. I'm sorry. Sorry. But yeah, if you like the first season, you'll like the second season, and it kind of ends in this huge the cruise arc, where you get to see your kick some major ass. So go watch it.
Then you also see Becky Lloyd Love.
Ugh.
I kind of want to remark on that movie you made because movie remark. I kind of missed that because back in the day, anime was only in selected theaters, and when you went to those theaters, they gave you little posters for the movie, and I always
Uh,
loved that.
Yes, but there were also, seating of 35 or seating of 50. It's dingy. The seats are really old, and the screen is small. Like there are TVs sometimes bigger than that these days. Yes, I do remember that. I remember getting my Madoka poster. I think it's better now because you could go watch it on a giant screen and can watch it multiple times, and it's subbed and dubbed.
I
I went and saw The Boy and the Heron twice, one dubbed, one subbed. So
I'll
more
agree.
movies.
I'll agree. It is better for the more viewing and the easier access because like I was traveling 10 hours to go watch these movies at times, so now I don't have to do that. It's just a 5 minute drive, and I can go there and watch. I kind of wish or miss that those little posters. And like I think I even like what was it? Liz and the Bluebird gave you postcards. Some of the characters on them. So that was pretty fun. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that I miss it. Anyone else miss it? Could comment. I think we can skip the Shield Hero because no one watches that anymore. He's no longer grumpy and being all like, "Grr." He's too nice now, I think. So we'll skip all
It,
the way over to Cheer Moon. So here we have Cheer Moon, which how do you? Okay, I'll just do the English one. It's so much smaller. 2 Million Empire. I saw the Japanese
Yep.
and ends with all these dots because it goes further than what it should go.
Yeah, I mean, this is another trend that I've noticed, and these types of it's not isekai, right? It's kind of a medieval European setting, very generic, but at the same time, you could see kind of the medieval fantasy game setting behind it, and the main character is often doing a time loop. They're not reincarnated. Something happens, they die, they wake up. It's 5 years, 7 years, 10 years before they die. And they're trying to avoid that fate. And so Pure Moon, I think, is one of the earlier ones, although in this new batch of loop, time loop stories, especially with a female protagonist. There's one that's going on this season. The was it the seventh loop villainous or something like that. Anyway, it's a subgenre that you see, and so in this one, the central character, the Princess Mia, is a spoiled brat, does not understand anything, grows up, continues to be bratty, and then a revolution happens, and in the image of the French Revolution, and she is beheaded. But then she wakes up 10 years, I think it's 10 years before her beheading, and she has a diary that she realizes is from that previous timeline, and she wants to avoid the guillotine. So she's doing everything in her power to try to avoid that for selfish reasons, but everyone thinks she's a magnanimous princess with a huge heart for all the common people, and misunderstandings galore, right? So it's funny. I've been reading the manga. I watched the first 3 or 4 episodes, and then I kind of skipped the middle part, and then I watched the end, which is slightly ahead of the manga. So I wanted to know what happens. And you know what? It was enjoyable, but did it do anything extremely out of the ordinary or revolutionary? Not really. It's just very. If you like that kind of show, it's very competently done. Although some of the horses were hilarious. They have like CG horses, and then there's a middle arc where Mia tries to do things in a horse like manner. So there's a horse joke. She tries to make baked bread in the shape of a horse, and it looks like a hippopotamus, and all kinds of shenanigans. But it was yeah, it was enjoyable, and Princess Mia was voiced by Sumire Uesaka, and she's been doing a great job with her. So it's a mild recommend for me, but it doesn't jump out of the anime doesn't jump out of the rest of these kinds of loop stories. I'm still enjoying the manga though, so that's what I have to say.
So, for me, the show, um, I enjoyed it as well. I'm not gonna lie, it was decent. Um, I honestly didn't really pay attention to any horses in this show, or else I would have probably noticed the CG horses because that's one of the biggest things I complain about CG horses a lot of the time. But this show was somewhat entertaining. The misunderstandings were kind of here and there that were kind of like, okay, I can see how that they got to that way, but then some of them like, that's kind of a stretch, a little bit. But um, as far as Mia, honestly, don't feel like she's changed all that much. It's like everything she did wasn't really to become a better person. It was just so she could live. But regardless of how she got to where she is, I think she's at a better point in her life, and um, everything is kind of looking up, not only for her but for everyone else. So it's like a win-win regardless. But just I don't know what I was kind of expecting from this show, but I would say it was a decent watch, and I wouldn't say wasted time. So it was good. So I kind of wish we saw her more grown up version. I like her longer hair. The next thing we have out here, let's go ahead and do the Undead Luck. I think that's the last one on here. For Albert. Did you watch all of it? Is that what the dark is, or?
Yeah, I did. So this was it had a pretty interesting premise, and so in this show, everyone had this. People who have superpowers have a power that begins with un, right? So if you have invisibility, you would be unseen. The protagonist has bad luck. She causes others to have bad luck, so she is unluck, and her and the the undead can't die permanently, so he's undead, and he is at such a state he doesn't even remember his own name. So he's named Andy because in Japanese, undead and Andy is sounds similar enough. So that's why. So yeah, there's a secret society of powered people doing. You find out later in the series that is much bigger than you thought, and that took a very interesting turn. The powers are very interesting and unique. The animation's good, voice acting's good, action is good. So yeah, overall, I'm having a great time. It's heading into a second core. I haven't watched any of the second yet, but if you like shonen, this is a good show to watch.
I do have a few questions about it though. You said that people have these abilities. Is it like in the majority of the people, or is it just a select few?
It's select few, as far as I know,
And the other,
and some of these abilities are dangerous. So the society, I forget what they're called. They hunt people down to either kill and eliminate or to imprison.
I see. And the only other question I would, I guess, kind of ask is like, how is the animation? How's the style? Is it like very normal, or is it like dark borders? Because I kind of feel like it's going to be this very like kind of almost like kind of want to almost say it's like Akame no Kill style, just by looking at the poster. But I don't know. Like,
uh, I don't know. It's kind of hard. It's very shonen style. So think, My Hero Academia, that kind of crisp colors and thick line art. Um, yeah, I don't think it's Akame no Kill. It's a little bit more comedic. Features are more rounded. Yeah,
okay,
watch the first episode. You see if you like it. If you don't, it is a wacky world. You find out later. So um, the scale of it kind of surprised me halfway through the first core. You're like, what? And you find out besides these people with powers, there are also beings with powers. So yeah.
okay. I don't know why, but for some reason, I probably don't think it's the same, but for some reason, I get this vibe of this other show I've seen back in the day called Needless. But we'll see. I'll probably have to check
Oh,
it out.
it's different than that. It's much more action oriented.
Oh, okay, cool. This is High Dive, right? Or oh no, it's Hulu. No, I guess that's why I haven't
Yeah,
watched it.
it's hard to watch, I think.
Okay,
So
okay, okay. Hulu is another thing that's really hard for me because that's only one of the few accounts that I don't have for streaming.
I see.
Like I got everything else, HBO, Disney, whatever all those other stuff are. Just Hulu. I don't. But okay, I think
Uh-huh. I mean, you have Netflix, but you don't watch it, so
well that's a family Netflix. But
you can have sub accounts.
let's see here. I think that's everything, right, for today? Because Vinny didn't really
Yeah,
show
I
up.
guess then you can, yeah. So we can cover other things. So really, the two Netflix shows that I mentioned, Scott Pilgrim Takes Off and Pluto, both really excellent. So I highly recommend that you go check it out.
Also, isn't there a movie coming out soon? Theaters.
Movie,
That I saw some
Mm,
that there's a movie coming out soon on Crunchyroll.
an anime movie?
Yeah.
I'm sure there
Mm,
is.
Give me a sec. Let me look it up because I'm gonna make that announcement before we go. But maybe we'll make an announcement at the next anime talk for the start of the new season. But then
Start of the new season.
Oh, was it? It wasn't the Madoka, right?
no,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
Detective Conan, maybe?
I don't think it
Uh,
was. Oh well, I'll get it by the next time. I remember seeing it and
Mm.
then I just totally forgot about it. But other than that, yeah, it's been really fun. Fall season, I would say. This winter season, I'm not too sure yet. I haven't looked up a lot of things, but I don't see myself watching a lot of the shows.
I need to finish up shows from last season, and there is a fair number of ones I do want to at least check out, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be dropping a lot of them. So I just want to check out the first episode to see what they look like. I'll be continuing to watch like Free Run and Undead Unlock and Apothecary Diaries from last season.
Yeah, I will say this though, because you did mention it, the seventh time loop anime. I saw the first episode yesterday, and it actually was very interesting because it's not like
Yeah,
the True Moon, but it caught my interest. It was one of those shows that I was
I think
actually
it.
kind of not look thinking I was going like, oh, this is going to be dropped fast,
Uh-huh.
but
Yeah,
surprisingly,
I don't know about the animation and the CG. It's very CG glossy looking promo art. So I do want to check it out because I've been reading the manga, but again, you know, sometimes it just doesn't translate as well. Um, so we'll see.
mhm. But other than that, I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Remember, if you have any questions, be sure to direct that all to Dragon Warrior. And
Oh, wait, was it the Gurren Lagann movie?
oh
Is
yeah,
that
Oh, there is a anniversary edition that they're showing, right?
Yeah, because it's Gurren Lagann, the movie Childhood's End. That's supposed to be, I think,
isn't it this weekend?
this like next week, I think maybe. January 16th and 17th.
Yeah, this week. Yeah, yeah. I just remembered
Yeah, yeah.
they were kind of heavily pushing that movie on Crunchyroll. So it is Gurren Lagann. So I've never
Okay.
watched the second half of Gurren Lagann.
Okay. I mean, many people haven't. Many people haven't watched a lot of the classics, so I mean that's fine.
I don't know. I just like Shion in his childhood. Everything about that was awesome. I don't know about him being an adult now. I may have to watch the movie to get that. But other than that, thank you everyone for joining us. Uh, hopefully Vinny can be here with us next time. if you want to join us in these anime talks, feel free to drop us a comment and we can try to get you into our Discord because we like to talk about anime. Albert does a very good job of sharing some very interesting info. We also have another person that really into physical media, so he shares a lot of physical media information every once in a while. So, um, with this new season coming up, I know Albert's going to be posting a lot of information about all the shows he watches. We always appreciate that. But other than that, bye bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.